Hello, Nick from Quit with Nick here and nicktyrone.com. Sharing tips and insights, things that can help you along your journey of transforming from where you are to where you want to be. In this video, I thought I would freehand it a little bit, have a very general theme that came to me. And I like doing these videos because most people would probably rather watch a video than read something, usually. And you never quite know what insight might shift things for you. So in this video, I wanted to give, a little bit of a deeper perspective on hypnotherapy, the trance state, and creating shifts and changes and some of the elements that need to be in place for it to occur, and also some of the elements that can actually interrupt the experience of the result that you wish to achieve. And for smoking, it's pretty obvious on one hand, but there can be other things that are hiding behind your awareness of what you know, the things that you don't know, sort of thing. Now, on one hand, it's so obvious when someone wants to quit smoking that, yes, I of course want all the benefits that being a non-smoker would bring me. Breathing better, feeling better, having more energy, tasting food, smelling things, becoming free, avoiding the obvious and inevitable health issues, saving the money. The list is as long as the arm. Now, if you were to ask most smokers, do you want to be a non-smoker, they typically think of course, how much better their life would be without cigarettes and the effects of the cigarettes. But there are some deeper things that can be at play if, for instance, someone goes for a hypnotherapy session and it doesn't work. Now, I do it doesn't work in inverted commas because, and it's very normal that, people will go in, have a process of hypnotherapy and walk out. And in one sense, it is a very black and white thing, isn't it? When someone walks out of a session, well, I either feel the urge or I don't. I'm either smoking or I'm not. I mean, it is very black and white when one puts it like that. But when you scratch a little deeper, and this is what people will mean when they say, is it going to work? Does it work? The number one question I get asked when people see my car, which has quit cigarettes in 60 minutes on it, and people will ask, does it work? What is, and ask, and sometimes, the question begs, well, what do you mean by work? If you just mean, are you going to stop smoking? Are you going to feel different? Is the urge going to be gone? Yeah, it works. But there's so many other things that need to be in place for you as the smoker to have that experience. There's the obvious things, and then there's the more subtle, deeper things. The obvious things is, well, you've got to want it to work. You've got to be committed to quitting. You've got to make the decision. You've got to have important reasons. You've got to click with the person doing the hypnotherapy. You've got to believe it can work for you. You've got to be there for your reasons, not someone else's, etc., etc. These are the obvious things that people know need to be in place for any quit smoking aid to work. And that's important to remember too. Hypnotherapy is an aid. Just like patches, gums, pills, sprays, Champix, they are aids. An aid is an assistance. It's not, nothing will do it for you at the end of the day. The reality is most human beings don't want to take responsibility for big life-changing goals, like quitting smoking is. And so, consciously or unconsciously, we look to sort of shift responsibility onto something else so we can say that thing either worked or it didn't. But the reality is, the only person that it's going to care about, the only person that's going to care the most about your health, your well-being, and your future is you. No one cares more about you than you in that sense, So taking responsibility is important. And I won't work with someone who I feel or sense doesn't want to take responsibility. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I'm pretty blunt these days, you know. I know what it takes to achieve this goal permanently, and I'm looking for what someone is saying and how they're saying it when someone first inquires. But here, this can be the deeper thing going on an unconscious level. These kinds of things that I'm about to share can be happening more on a level that you may not even really be aware of, that could be playing a role in the success of hypnotherapy, regardless of who you do it with. But let's assume that the person you are going to see is competent, they have experience, they have a good process, and that you click with them and you do believe that them and their process can work for you. And let's say you walk in, everything seems to go smooth, you walk out, and an hour, 2 hours later, a day, 2, 3 days later, it's just overwhelming cravings and you pick up a smoke. You know, one could say that is a scenario where it hasn't worked. They haven't worked. The hypnotherapist didn't do their job. It wasn't successful. Here's something just to consider that is important to shed some light on, because when you shed light on it, you can see it. And when you see it, you can make a choice to make it different. Now, your unconscious mind is always, from the moment you're born, your conscious and unconscious mind are interacting based on incoming data from the environment, certain situations, is always making an assessment about what is safe, secure, comfortable, and protective. Your unconscious mind is a mechanism of safety, protection, security, and comfort. On a deep, deep level, it's as if your unconscious is always regulating to be in a state of ease when there are so many things that could cause anxiety. So, from the moment we're born, any scenario, situation, an event where your unconscious mind deems something to be either to be safe, secure, protective, and comfortable, it will naturally make a positive association to that thing. Any situation where your unconscious mind makes a decision that it is not safe, it's unsecure, uncertain, could harm you, it's then going to try to protect you from that. Now, we're going into, at this point, the way we are programmed, because in a sense, our bodies, our hardware, being our skin, bones, muscles, tendons, circulatory system, immune system, hormonal system, brain, lungs, blah, 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 all of that is our hardware, just like computer hardware. Our software is our internal world, our emotions, the way we make decisions, consciously, unconsciously. It's our software, and we all know that for hardware to perform at a higher level, it needs the appropriate software that supports it. I mean, to bring it back to, our iPhones or any device, there's constantly iOS upgrades. Oh, we've upgraded. We've kinked out bugs. We've ironed out some bugs. Get the new version of the software so your hardware can perform at a higher function. Our iOS. And in a sense, we have an iOS, our internal operating system, iOS. And we get bugs, kinks, and things we need to iron out. So we need to constantly evolve our iOS, our internal operating system. So our hardware, being our muscles, bones, lungs, circulatory system, energy, can perform at a higher function, just like any other technology, right? Now, the way that our internal program is created, from the moment we're born, we are involved in moments, situations, activities, and events and interactions with people and the environment and the world around us, where our unconscious mind is making a decision, good, bad, right, wrong, yes, no, protective, unsecure, safe, not safe, etc. And this can be happening on a subtle level too. It's not just obvious things like a trauma or something big, Once an actual situation has occurred, let's say, where your unconscious mind deems that is unsafe, that is like the code a program that is written and it is banked. And that is where a pattern of response will develop in the future. Anytime your brain, your conscious and unconscious mind comes across a moment that it matches, that it's similar. Any moment where it could be similar to something stored in the past that your unconscious has deemed as unsafe, it's going to match it with that. And then the appropriate response, what seems appropriate, will ensue and develop, right? So, I mean, to give you a very subtle example of actually someone that I did work with years ago, a small child is, let's say a child of 3, 4 years old, is begging their parent to go and feed the chickens. Had chickens growing up and they wanted, and the parent was, oh no, I don't know if you're ready for that, but pleads and pleads. And so, okay, here's the chook feed. Go out and feed the chickens. And a little one goes out there with all this chicken feed, and all the chickens start coming in, and they get panicky and anxious, and the chickens are pecking at them, and and they have an actual quite a trauma. 10 minutes later the child is fine. They walk out of the pen screaming, and the mum's like, oh, come on, it's okay, everything's fine. Now that might seem pretty frivolous on one level, but on a deeper unconscious level, the unconscious mind can make potentially many decisions about that sort of moment that it has banked as this is not protective. One, for instance, can be if I speak up and be heard, if I know I should say something or I want a certain thing and I speak up, I could get attacked. For instance, an event like that, and in this case, this is how this woman, how we found out through a regression, just sitting at the boardroom table as a C-level executive, I don't feel confident. For some reason, I know I should say something and be heard, but I get held back. I have a fear and I shut down. That could be the unconscious saying, if I speak up, I could get attacked. So the little girl that went, please, I want to go out and feed the chickens. Oh, please let me. No. Oh, come on, please. Gets attacked. The unconscious mind goes, it's not safe to speak up. That's just one of actually many examples how the unconscious mind can interpret and process a situation that in the many years to come, anything that can be sort of related to that as a pattern match, that's not safe. So it can actually hold you back. So taking that understanding and weaving it into hypnosis and quitting smoking, if that occurrence has happened where someone's walked out, then the deeper question to ask is, where is the resistance? What part of me could ultimately be fearing the result that my conscious mind wants, which is to be a non-smoker, healthy, live longer? Of course, you want all those things. But if a process that has worked for so many other people has been, you've participated in that and you haven't got the result, one thing to ask, and this may not be obvious, this requires a little bit of insight, a little bit of awareness, personal awareness, to really go deep, be honest and truthful with yourself and ask, what could I be fearing? If I become a healthy non-smoker, free of this crutch, what are the fears of that? What could my unconscious be protecting me from by not releasing this crutch? What am I fearful of? What could happen? Wow, sometimes we actually fear success and what it could bring. Now I need to take responsibility. Now I can't say that I've tried everything and nothing's worked for me. If it were, so these are the deeper things that could be going on. Maybe a smoker says they've tried everything, so they're justified. Nothing has worked for me because I've tried everything. So I'm just going to keep smoking because I've tried it all and it hasn't worked. This could just be the unconscious, or don't worry about trying. You've tried everything. It works for them, but not for you. You're different. I mean, every client I've ever seen out of 3,200 have all been different. Every one of them have been unique, but many of them, a huge, vast majority of 95% have actually achieved this goal. Yet they were all different. They were all unique individuals in their own right. We're all unique. That's the common thing all humans share, is that we're all unique. So, yeah, I mean, this is just something I wanted to share. I know this video is a little longer than my usual ones, but it's actually quite a deep thing to be aware of. If it hasn't happened for me, what am I really what am I avoiding? What am I trying not to step into? Am I fearful of stepping into my power? What if this does happen? And what then? Maybe there are other emotions that the cigarettes are keeping down and the unconscious. Oh no, if we quit smoking, all these things are going to come up, and that's going to be unsafe and insecure, and you're going to be a danger kind of thing. The unconscious is there to keep you safe, but sometimes it's actually preventing you from exploring. I mean, nothing grows in your comfort zone. There's your comfort zone. It can be comfortable in there, but growth happens through expanding and some challenge outside of that. So something to ponder and something to consider. What could be my resistance to actually achieving this goal? That's quite a journey, but one that is definitely worthwhile. So I hope that has helped in some way. Nick from Quit With Nick and nickterone.com. Feel free to share or tag this video if there's anyone on the journey you think could benefit from this video. Take care. To your health. Bye-bye.